when people are wrong, he's going to hold them accountable and he's going to correct the record. So it's going to be, he's used Twitter more effectively in social media between Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
Do you like
That was incoming White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer, as it's now been 149 days since President-elect Trump has held a traditional news conference. But senior advisor Kellyanne Conway says there will be daily press briefings in the Trump administration. There had been some question about that. Let's talk about it with Lynn Sweet, Washington bureau chief of the Chicago Sun-Times. Are you heartened that the daily press briefing is not going to go the way of the dinosaur
Sure.
in the Trump administration?
Sure, and happy holiday, John, by the way,
You
to everyone
too.
out there. I think it's great. What we don't know, though, is will it be televised? Mike McCurry, who is Bill Clinton's press secretary, who started the televised press briefings, has said through the years that he thought it's a bad idea. So we don't know, will it be televised, how long it will be. But I take them at their word. If they have something daily and if the reporters can have a chance to get questions answered, that's great.
Bill Clinton used to hold the record for the president-elect who had gone the longest without an actual news conference, 9 days. It's been, as we mentioned, 148 since Donald Trump held a news conference. He hasn't had a formal news conference since he was elected. What do you think about that?
Well, since July, what I think about it, I'm a reporter. Of course, I like him to have a press conference. There's so many questions to ask. He promised to have one December 15th to talk about how he would divorce himself from his business holdings. Now he said that's in January. So, you know, press conferences could be long, could be short. You could, you know, set them up in a variety of formats. But I guess, John, you should do something. And when you have nothing, that's a long time. And I'm hoping now that he has his press team in place, that they figure out a way to have President-elect and then President Trump available on a more routine basis. But yes, of course, 149 days is too long. But whatever that number is, 149 days is too much.
Let's add to the conversation Judith Miller, our Pulitzer Prize-winning investigative reporter and a Fox News contributor as well. Kellyanne Conway, Judy, was on GMA this morning and talked a little bit about press availability in the incoming Trump administration. She, of course, was his campaign manager, who's just been named counselor to the president. Listen to what she had to say.
This will be a traditional White House in the sense that you will have a great deal of press availability on a daily basis, and you'll have a president who continues to be engaged with the press.
The current administration, Judy, as you well know, promised to be the most transparent in history. That hasn't exactly happened. What are you looking forward to under a Trump administration?
Well, I'm looking for more transparency, as is Lynn. I'm looking for more access, and I'm certainly looking for something beyond Donald Trump's favorite communication style, which is the tweet. I mean, it's one thing for him to say, I'm not going to give up DTS, as he calls it, drain the swamp, but it's another to be able to actually ask him a question, and that's very, very important, and it's something that President Obama did not like to do. And I think, by the way, it did not serve him well that he did so relatively few press conferences. So I think that Donald Trump, who has made his mark as a kind of master of media manipulation, will continue to find interesting ways of getting his message across. I wonder whether or not this is going to be a huge role reversal of a White House press secretary actually correcting us rather than us holding them accountable for errors and misstatements of fact.
I don't want to denigrate what we do in the media, but Donald Trump's position is that going straight to the American people through without a filter, as he does via Twitter, that is more beneficial. Judy, what's your reaction?
Look, I think it's a means of communication, but I'm sorry, you know, I believe in the First Amendment, as do you, John, and you, Lynn, and I think most people who look at our checks and balance system. And I think that the press is an indispensable element in a democracy, and that Donald Trump may not like that any more than any other president, and that he will not be unusual. But that's our job. We've got to stick to it. He can have his say, but we will surely have ours. And if you've seen the coverage so far far it has been very skeptical. It's pointed out that the man who promised to bring different people into the government has now selected a cabinet of the 1%, that is the richest people we've ever had in government. Let's see how it works, but he's not going to stop and we're not going to stop, and it'll be interesting.
The guy he has chosen to be his press secretary is somewhat familiar to the American people, having essentially held that same job for the Republican National Committee. I'm talking about Sean Spicer, newly named to that position. He was on with Maria Bartiromo this morning on Fox Business Network. Here's what he had to say about communications with the American people going forward. Listen.
We've got one in January that we're going to do. We've already announced it.
Okay.
And I know, but look, I don't think the American people are sitting around saying, when is he going to have a formal press conference? He speaks very frequently and forcefully on Twitter. He has been interviewed numerous times. He's going to continue to speak out often.
I suppose the American people aren't sitting around wondering when the next presidential news conference is, Lynn, but I certainly know the press corps is.
Well, there's a lot to running the country. And there's a lot of questions that you have that often, this is what reporters do. You think of things in the multiple areas of government to talk about. That's what you could address in the press conference without, if the president-elect clearly is going to continue to communicate in Twitter. The Obama White House did. Snapchat, Instagram, blogs. They have tools. But it doesn't mean that you exempt the press, or carve them out from communicating. I just think it's the whole package. I'm really encouraged by what Sean and Kellyanne said. Looking ahead, there's no reason to think today that if everyone's operating out of good faith, that the president-elect won't have the ability to communicate directly, which President Obama, First Lady Michelle use direct communications all the time. Sometimes, John and Judy, I feel like I have to sign up for everything just to keep up with what a White House puts out.
Yeah.
Because they don't always tell you. We have sent out a picture that's important over Twitter. And you think, heck, why didn't someone send me an email?
Yeah, it is
tough.
It is
so
tough
it's a lot to keep track of. But I think, I'm very encouraged by what Sean and Kellyanne said. And with all the contentious relationship that's ongoing with the press, if they want to do a reset, fine with me. Let's just move forward and have access. They have their ability to communicate. Give us our ability to ask questions and get some answers.
A lot of presidents have battled with the press, and it's a healthy thing in our republic.
It could still
Lynn Sweet, Judith Miller.
Let us,
Thank you both.
Hey, thank you.
Happy holidays,
Merry
John.
Christmas. Thanks.